There's a little chipmunk outside of my workshop. So cute. Maybe she heard about typewriter. Hey everybody, welcome to A Bit of Birdsong. My name is Lynn. If you're new here, welcome. I'm just doing a little bit of journaling this morning. I've typed up some entries. Well, that one was floating around. I don't know how it never made it into the journal. I typed up an entry this morning just kind of talking about some things that have happened over the last few days. Okay, let's put some of this fun paper down that came from the recycle place, and I'm going to do some distressing just because I like it. Glue that down. Oh, there's one of the little CD. Okay, I've got a few things that I want to put in here. I know I mentioned that I want to be more careful about maybe saving a few things for myself. I sell so many packs and fun packs, and I make journals and sell them. Sometimes I feel like you know, I just, everything goes right through my hands here. So I kept a piece of one of the pages from Miss Hickory to put in here. I do love the images, and it reminds me so much of my mother showing us how to make dolls from little acorns and twigs, and then set up a house around the base of a tree, like the tree roots, you know, where they leave sort of like a cavity of space between each big root. It can be like rooms. Oh, it can just turn into the most fun. Let's move that instead of trying to push that under there. I don't want to be in a huge hurry. I like to try to enjoy the journey, or enjoy the journal in this case. But I do have some journals that I'm going to be listing for sale this afternoon. I've been mailing out packages basically for about 3 days, and it just takes time. It really does. I try to make sure everything is secure. I just put a little note there about what that page makes me think about. I like this. These are things. Yeah, this is something else I found floating around. What might have been. I don't know what anyone had in store for me. What good, what bad. I would like to see what good might have been around the corner, but I couldn't wait for that. Waiting might have killed me. The little rent made years ago had grown into a massive hole, and I was nearly naked from it. Exposure can kill you, they say. Maybe I would have had a bright new house, or at least a new window pane to replace the cracked one upstairs. Maybe he would realize how much it hurt my fingernail that day he shoved a piece of furniture over it. The store clerk winced. I was embarrassed. I was used to loneliness. Crying seemed normal. Lowering my expectations to nothing had become the safe thing to do. Everything reaches full capacity, I suppose. Sponges grow full, buckets run over, the sound barrier breaks. The yelling that Wednesday finally blew the roof off, and in that darkest hour I saw light. I am gone. I wish I'd put a date on that. I know it's been within the last couple of months, so I'll just put my name at the bottom and put 2021. So maybe we can make a little pocket or something to stick that in. Oh, and I love this image. The crow, of course, you know I love the crows. So let's tear that edge off that was curling up. And maybe we'll just go ahead and glue this in, because that gives us a beautiful image and then some space to write on. I hate to cover up that image on the bag, but I really love the crow. And you know I love my beautiful distressed color. And so let's go ahead and stress this a little bit. I had some stamps that I sent out in the Patreon mail for June, and from that set of stamps I kept the crow to go in my current journal. It's nice to record day-to-day events so that you can look back and remember things. It definitely leaves a treasure or memories for, you know, if you're leaving these behind for your children or for family history to record things. It's nice to have things written down, things documented, but it's also so much fun to have pretty things to look at. Another page from Miss Hickory. I love my crows. One of the things I think about with family history is that, you know, we love finding pictures of our ancestors and just looking for resemblances, but we don't really know about the people in many cases, you know, little things about them. So I think it's neat that somebody would be able to look at this and know that I loved crows. I've been telling my children I want to write a book for them, including the family history that I know, because there are little memories, things that were told to me by my great aunts and uncles, things that my children would not remember. And without documenting those, it will be lost with me, just like things like that were lost with my grandparents and their parents. Those are the little things. It just makes me feel really sad to think about things like that being lost forever. Those are some of the dried flowers that our Dollar Tree had. I was really surprised to see the beautiful dried flowers, because they're expensive if you go somewhere like Michael's to get those. And I kind of want some color here. I just love the distressing. I really do. So let's go ahead and glue this down. I think I will put it kind of in the center. And I do want to write a note about some of the birds in my yard. So many things to put in here. There is a picture from yesterday. Jason played at the Colonial Inn in Hillsboro, North Carolina. And that's a building that goes all the way back to the 1700s, the 1750s. There were actually prominent figures from the Revolutionary War who stayed in that building. I actually ate a meal there back in the 80s. Hillsboro is where I raised my children, and just about a mile from here, a mile from the Colonial Inn, I raised all of my children in an old house, one of the older houses in Hillsboro. And sadly, that house was bulldozed. I don't ever like to get into it, but I feel like that house is a perfect example of how I was taken care of. It has been razed. It was not loved and cared for. I did everything I could as far as cleaning, and, you know, I think you understand what I'm saying. I do have a piece of the foundation of that house in my current garden, which I absolutely love looking at that. There were a lot of wonderful memories there. But getting back to this building, fast forward to now, some people have purchased it. And I think some of these people were from out of town, but they had relatives locally. And it's amazing. So Jason played out on the lawn. You can see lots of people wearing red, white, and blue. These people were dancing. It was just really fun to sit out there. It was a bit nostalgic for me because all of these flowers on the border reminded me of the garden I had at the old house. But I'm so happy with what I have right now. Very grateful. And Jason and I are talking about doing things in the yard and in the garden. I'm going to cut this down because I know these are the people that I was sort of hanging out with. And we're not getting a clear view of anybody over here to the right. And then this is Jason and Dennis under the tent. So I'm going to find a place to glue this in, or to place it in. And I think I'm going to tape this. So let me grab my tape, or maybe my masking tape is over on the other work desk. I have a tall work desk and a short. Oh, I might use this. Or wait, let's use this blue with the stars, since this is for the 4th of July. And let's just cut a little piece. When I'm working like this, it always brings me back to just thinking about the topic of how to journal. There are so many different styles, but it's perfectly okay to bring writing and scrapbooking and art journaling all into the same book. That's actually a really pretty combo when it's all done. Okay, so we've got that little note there. And, you know, maybe I can just stick this let's go back to the front here. It's going to be too wide for that. Let's just put this right under here. Since that doesn't really have an actual date that includes a day. So here is a label from the Distress re-inking, the liquid ink that I recently finished, vintage photo. So I will just put this right here. I put a little bit of glue on it. It's a sticky label, and I'm just gonna write, love this, with a little arrow. I think things like this are just interesting and fun. And here is another sticky label where I emptied out a bottle of lavender essential oil. I have a diffuser out here, and I only use natural oils. Well, I guess that's what you use in them, but in this, I can't remember where I got this essential oil. I've been pleased with some of the ones I've bought from Walmart. So I use lavender and lemongrass and just maybe a drop of tea tree oil. When I had my retail store, I kept essential oils in there all the time, and it was in an old railroad caboose. So there was, you know, it wasn't this wonderful new airtight structure, which I actually liked. And every time I would go in, I was only open on the weekends for most of my duration there. But I would go in and take water and a cleaning cloth and put drops of lavender and lemongrass on that and wipe down the doorways, around the windowsills, the floor, any insects that I could let out free, you know, I would put them outside. And there weren't a lot in there, I don't want to make it sound like, but like if a beetle had come inside in the summertime. But I really feel like essential oil helps to keep a place from getting things like that. That's one of the reasons I use it here, and I do like the result. It makes everything smell so good, and it's natural smelling. Customers used to say that they loved it because everything smelled so clean and natural, and when you're diluting it with water and wiping it down, you know, it goes away, but then it leaves this very faint, really nice clean scent. That is a little bird from a scrapbook I had from probably the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's one of those that is just falling apart. I mean, the edge of the beak is kind of torn. And anyway, I'm just going to put that in there. And I might make a little note that says from an old scrapbook. Let's see here. You know how I love to put tags on the pages, and I've got almost out of this fabric, but I think I will put this tag on real quick with the sewing machine. I want you to see how far back I had to bend that journal to get it under the needle. So you really can't go back and sew unless you have a journal that is flexible. This one was really, really close. Like, it's a lot harder to bend back a hardcover than it is a soft cover. I didn't want to mess it up, but I thought, oh, let's just try it and see what happens. Now, I want part of this napkin as well, and I need to get up from here and get busy. May not be going to the Eno for a little bit because bears have been spotted. This is like a migratory area. They go from, you know, the mountains to the coast and something like that, or the coast to the mountains. One of the largest bears ever, black bears ever killed, was killed near the coast, the North Carolina coast. I think it was about 800 pounds. And I don't know, that record might have been broken, but I do remember that from years ago. And people have been posting on our neighborhood boards that they have spotted bears, more than one family. It's probably only 2 miles from here on the river where we walk. And if you have listened to my channel at all or heard me talk about it, a bear is my recurring nightmare. And I'm working on a bear journal. I've got to get busy and share that. That's really pretty there. And I have to figure out how to put that on the page so that I'm going to ruin it. I'm going to put some glue on the page, and then I'm going to turn it into a really thin layer of glue so that I can carefully lay that down and not have glue coming through that delicate napkin. But I keep thinking I need to show you the bear book that I'm working on. It might be too big. I wish, it's kind of like a scrapbook that I started gluing things into because I have so much bear stuff. I've got a lot of bear pieces, papers, cards, stamps, articles, book pages, and I documented the dream in it, so I really don't want to talk about the dream until I have the book on the desk. So I think that's going to be fine here. I don't want it too wrinkled. Sometimes I like wrinkles, and it may be too late. That wrinkle's just going to have to stay, and that's okay. For the most part, it's really smooth. That is so pretty. Maybe we will go ahead and cut this out, and we're going to go right up the center here, and I want to put this on the page as well, and then I'm going to stop. I guess I could have just folded it. I don't know why I do stuff like that sometimes, but I feel like it might lay flatter like this. And I need to make sure and get enough glue near the center so it'll lay down and not, you know, be coming up off the page. Yeah, and this paper is thin enough that I think cutting it is fine. Sometimes it seems like when you fold something, it ends up with a crease in the center that takes away from the look of the piece that you're working with. Now let's put that right there. I think I'm going to stop right here because I want this to dry. I've got these notes that I distressed that I still have to put in here, and I definitely need to move on to the journals that I'm working on. Let's see, I do have a couple more things that are going into this journal at some point, but for now, that's a really good stopping point. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.